tell you during your school days at St. Francis College that your career would lead you to NASA, and maybe in particular to this position, how would you have responded?
You've got to be kidding. I think that would be the first thing that would come out of my mouth, because I grew up in England in a small market town, and the idea of working for NASA, would you like to work for NASA? Would you like a gold Olympic medal? Would you like to win an Oscar? They were all kind of the same thing. Things that happen to, they just don't feel like they're accessible to you. And so it would be hard for me to see that I could have done this. I've enjoyed every step of the way to getting to this, but it would have been I don't think I would have believed anyone who told me this is where I would be.
What's been your greatest discovery as a scientist so far?
Oh, there's so many ways to answer this. I mean, I could talk about, my PhD thesis and the exciting work I did there, but I think as a scientist, it's really just the quality of the questions. It is about the science. It's not about a particular discovery or a particular thing. My greatest achievement, my most proud achievement probably is launching Parker Solar Probe, and seeing a spacecraft that you've worked on for years and years actually taking off and going into space, and then getting all of the data back. But I think my greatest excitement and greatest discovery is just maybe how much I enjoy what I do. I think if you took me back to my school days and said you're going to be doing this, I'm not sure I would have totally appreciated how amazing it is to be a scientist and to work in these incredible science teams and lead them and do your piece in really advancing what humanity knows about our universe.
Can you remember the moment when you knew you wanted to be a scientist for life?
There are probably a couple. I knew I loved science from always. It was always my favorite subject. It was always the most interesting. There were, other subjects I was not as interested in because they just didn't excite me. And science and that feeling that you're asking questions and you're doing experiments to come up with answers was something that I always absolutely knew I wanted to do. I went to college, I did physics, I didn't really know what I was going to do with it, I just knew I loved it. And so I'm not sure I ever knew I would be a scientist for life. I think it was something that I always kind of wanted to be, but sometimes it's hard to imagine yourself in that career. But I think from school days, from 3 years old, when my dad told me about how the Earth rotates around the sun and the moon rotates around the Earth and how all the planets move, I think I was hooked on the idea that there's something out there beyond our planet.
Wonderful. Well, it's been great having an opportunity to talk with you.